Welcome to Stacking the Dealer, the podcast where we talk cars, sales strategy, and what it takes to win in the auto industry. No fluff, no corporate scripts, just real conversations from inside the dealership world. Anthony Birdsong, my man. I know we talk darn near every day, but what is new in your world? We're going to talk a little AI today, which I'm super excited about. I know you are probably one of the better people I know in AI, so I think we'll have some good conversations.
For people who don't know what AI is capable of right now, you're really living in a cave. And I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of people that really don't understand what AI is capable of doing. I mean, when we think of AI, we think about it answering a lead to, 75, 80% of what a really good human could do. And that is the majority of what I've seen AI doing in the car business. It's like answering leads. You've got some phone call, some places that are using it for phone calls, but I really feel like the general public, as far as the car dealership world is concerned, is missing the ball on AI. That's my opinion.
I agree. And here's the thing. I think number one, it's a buzzword, right? Everybody's getting, if you went to NADA or NIADA or your local, so like somebody calls your store, they always say AI, powered by AI. I talked to a guy at NIADA that's, it was an interesting product. They had some photo analyzation that I've talked to you about. And I said, well, which, AI are you using? He said, oh, no, it's our own. I said, well, no, it's not your own. He goes, no, it's our own. I go, well, no, because otherwise you'd be $1 billion company listed on NASDAQ. And no, this is 100% our own. And at that point, I'm like, he clearly doesn't know. I'm not going to get into an argument with him. He has his own agent. Like these vendors that say it's their own AI are morons. It's not their own AI. They're not open ChatGPT. They're not Claude. They may program their own agents the way they want it programmed, but nobody is using some bot, taught, programmed, built AI. So it's all the same open source. But I thought that was interesting. This sales guy trying to tell me that it was his own AI. But I think there's some things that people don't think of, like what you were telling me about yesterday with parts we started.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because I think it's important. A lot of times when you understand something, you skip over things. And so let's talk to the people out there in the car world about what it means to actually have your own AI. So first of all, AI is really large language learning models, right? LLMs. And so if you want to train your own model to the extent that OpenAI has done or Anthropic has done, I mean, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, it is an astronomical amount of money, energy, power. There's all types of issues behind creating your own language learning model. Now, with that being said, you now have the capability on certain computers to start an entry-level training process into an LLM. You also, through some of these different companies that exist, you can train, for example, ChatGPT or Gemini to recognize different things in photos. So what a lot of people are talking about when they say it's our AI is that they've done some level of training with the model. Now, to be honest with you, from what I've seen, even as far as that is concerned, a lot of people are really lacking in their ability to actually train the model. And to take that a step further again, these companies only allow you to train their models so far, right? And so I just wanted to let everyone out there know exactly what Josh is talking about when he starts talking about someone having their own model that recognizes and identifies issues in pictures. Let's say hail, for example. That is not something that can be done by an LLM that is owned by a specific company. Now, I think some of the insurance companies are working on that currently, but as far as I know, even the insurance companies use Gemini as a base.
Yep. And the benefit for them to actually design their own would be just the cost. because they're consuming so much data. And I switched one of my programs over to Fable 5 because I think it ends today. So I was just testing it out. 4 times as much tokens than I was using with the preview with the Opus or whatever it was. So
yeah, Fable 5 is very expensive. They know that it's expensive. And to be honest with you, I've been playing with it and I haven't seen that much of a difference. Now, I'll tell you, with the way that these models work, when they release new models, and somebody explained it to me really beautifully yesterday because I was trying to understand how these things work. You know, you have these situations where these new releases, on some levels, they're very small changes. And so over time, obviously, the ability of the AI increases more and more and more as it learns and it gets better. But the increases are so minuscule, in my opinion, as far as what I've seen for what I'm doing.
What it is it's better at something that I'm not using it for, like video or pictures. If I'm still using it for data entry, reconciliation stuff, there's no need to pull the Ferrari out of the driveway to go to the grocery store.
Yes. I agree with you 100%. And so that's another thing that you have to be careful with when you start playing with AI. You very easily can get into a situation where you're using tools that are much more advanced than what you actually need for what you're doing. And so I run into that a lot with the different things that I'm trying to do. And I'm really trying to push AI to its very limits of what it's capable of inside of the automotive world when it comes to automotive tech. I mean, I'm trying really hard to push it as far as I can.
Yeah, so it's funny because I'll start with something that I did recently. It was a pain point for us. As you and I both know, AI is very good at repetitive tasks. It's very good at binary stuff. Interpretation, it struggles with for sure. One of the areas that we were having a problem, and probably only my store on the planet has this problem, is paperwork was getting a little messed up by the time it made it back to the finance office. Misspelled name, forgetting the middle name, stupid stuff like that that'll mess up a title app. Well, the office girls were getting real frustrated. So I created a program, and we are almost 100% digital. So we have a OneDrive, a Microsoft OneDrive. All of our customer files go in there, and before it goes back to finance, and then the finance, when they are done e-contracting everything, their documents go in there. So I created a 2-step process. The first one is when the finance manager is getting ready to send it back, or the sales manager is getting ready to send it back to finance. They type in the customer's name and the stock number, whether you have a trade, don't have a trade. There's a couple different variables there, so the system knows what paperwork to look for. And then I programmed it what to look for, what forms to look for, and where to look for it. And then it'll let you know if it has every form that I require in there, finance compliance issues, driver's license, scans the driver's license for the name, looks at all the paperwork to make sure that's spelled correctly, insurance card to make sure it's not expired. So when I first started it, I had it look for a couple things, but as you get into it, you go, oh shoot, I should have it do that. I should have it do that. And then I learned all sorts of things, like some PDFs are flat and some are layered. And I had to have it scan for flat PDFs and layered ones and all sorts of stuff, which was super cool. And then once it goes back to the office, Allegra gets it. She does the same thing, except it's post-finance, and it looks for contract, make sure that there's a warranty contract in there, if a warranty was sold, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Takes about 3 minutes for the scan, but then it'll let you know everything's all done, or no, look at this. And it has a percentage of certainty. So it may say, hey, I'm only 70% certain that this is accurate. You may want to look at it. So that was a pain point for us. And now, after probably about a week of messing with it and reprogramming, I think last night, I feel very, very confident that it's almost perfect. And so that was a pain point for us. I thought that was awesome. And then Allegra came to me today, and she's got our O'Reilly's and AutoZone invoices. She's getting ready to reconcile them. And she's like, it's just kind of a pain. I go, well, I was talking to Anthony about something like that last night. So you and I were talking about you were going to program something very similar, because it's just a repetitive task that I think AI could probably do.
I think that what you're going to start to see over the next 6 to 8 months is you're going to start to see a lot more companies operate off of endpoint APIs. So there are already a lot of companies outside of the car business doing this. Inside of the car business, there aren't as many because, as you know, a lot of the big companies, and I won't mention any names, are very protective and somewhat of a pain in the ass to deal with when it comes to things like this.
Talk about endpoint APIs and what an API is and what an endpoint API is.
So API basically is an ability for the LLM to read information. So, for example, when you have in your CRM, let's say your leads and information that comes through, the CRM would provide the language learning model with an API, and they would be able to read and understand the data that they've been given. Now, you have a secondary component to this, which is difficult. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a deal jacket a deal, and you want to understand everything there is to understand about that deal, like you've done. Cox, to get the accounting side of it, would have to provide you with an API, or somebody would have to give you the information for the LLM to read and understand. Now, you could get it from various ways, but the easiest way to get it would be an API. So with that being said, you then have the issue of the LLM being able to move around inside of whatever program you're using. So let me just give you an example. Let's say I go to the auction tomorrow and I buy 15 cars. It takes a lady upstairs, the better part of 3 or 4 hours to input all those cars. They have to log into Manheim. They have to get the year, make, model, miles, color, trim, all the different things, price, and they have to enter that car into your dealer track software system or whatever you use, your dealer management system. Now, in my opinion, it'd be very easy for AI to do this, right? But in order for AI to do this, you would have to allow it to somehow operate through either a Chrome extension or a Playwright or something else where it can log into your dealer track system and it can enter these cars. Now, dealer track, as far as I understand right now, does not play nice with the ability to do that. So you have to figure out ways around it, but those ways do exist.
Yeah.
So the other problem is you don't have an API feed from the auction to tell your AI what cars you bought. So somehow the auction has to tell the AI these were the cars that were bought, or a person does. So one of the things that I thought about was giving it access to my email so that it can read my email, see what cars that I bought go into dealer track. Very specifically is told how to do it. You log it in, it goes in, it inputs all the cars. But because this is what I've been working on, by the way, no one plays nice with the AI. It makes it very difficult. So you have to find workarounds for all these things, and ends up a little bit slow and gimmicky. But for example, if someone created a company that was AI driven and it was a dealer management software that was very AI friendly, AI is at the point where it could do all of this without an issue. Anything that, like Nash mentioned, is simple, easy to read. I don't even want to use the word simple, but any kind of accounting or things where it's like, take this invoice and attach it to a car. AI can do all that now.
Yeah, it's not as simple is probably not the right word, but and maybe it is, shit, I don't know, but redundant, that same task over and over, spreadsheet looking at this, reconciling that. There's just so many things that you can teach it to do. And so as I go through my day, if my hands aren't required to do it, my brain now immediately goes, could I program AI to do this? And what would that look like? Because the API feed is super important. And there's certain things like I have Claude hooked up to my entire life. I don't care. The Russians are going to get me. The Chinese are going to get me. I'm not sure. But it's on my computer. It goes through my calendar, goes through my work email, my personal email. And then I also wear an AI pendant that records my entire day. I hooked up a custom API feed for that. So it gets my entire audio from the previous day my calendars and my emails, gives me a report in the morning, says, hey, you need to do this. I have it programmed to coach me on being a better boss and also on being a better husband and father. So if there's anything that happens, like here's a great example. It heard me tell my wife, I really would like to get home for Jet's first day of school. It might only be a fly in and out, but I want to get there. It's reminded me twice now that I haven't booked my plane tickets because it reads my emails. Twice now, it's reminded me, hey, you need to book that plane ticket to get back for Jet's first day of school. So that's like what I have it do for me, which is really interesting on how you can program it and prompt it. And there's just the opportunities are absolutely endless, and it's only getting better. I mean, think about when we first started our journey with the program that we're doing, how much AI has changed just in the last 8 months.
And you know, what's really sad about the automotive industry is that they are so far behind. And I believe that until some young, hungry company comes along, they will always be behind because they just have no interest to grow and get with the times. And you know, what you just said you're doing with AI is amazing. And there are a lot of people that are doing that and doing it a step above and just a step below of what you're doing. But I find that very intriguing because I'm not really doing any of the organizational stuff, which I think is super important. I think the pendant that you have is cool. I think organizing your day is cool. I think having it read your emails is cool. You know, so I guess one of the things that I find interesting is with what I know, you really are only limited by what your imagination will allow you to come up with. I mean, we're probably, you know, I'd say 24 months away from you being able to think of something and get on Claude Code and basically design it. I mean, you can almost do that now. I will tell you, it's still a little bit finicky and you still run into some issues. Like yesterday, I wanted to bang my head against the wall with all the problems that I was running into trying to automate some of the accounting processes at the dealership.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that we are not too far away from AI being able to do basically whatever you tell it to do.
And what I thought was interesting, and I started on ChatGPT, probably like a lot of people, and I think some of the nerds are like, oh yeah, ChatGPT, that's for like the everyday person. And then I switched to Claude, and it's interesting because you've got Chat, Cowork, and Claude Code, which are all different. Frustrating thing for me is they don't talk to each other. So sometimes I'll be working something in code, and I'll be in Chat, and I'm like, I just told you, but they're like 3 different people with 3 different specialties, basically. But you can talk to it in just a layman's term and go, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. And all of a sudden it gets me to a Netfly, whatever site to put my HTML in so that I can, it can do that. And it's created a website. So I created a web-based portal for my managers to go in and input all that, and all that was readily available. And if I would have taken some computer class, I probably could have figured it out, but it did it. And then when it makes a mistake, it'll go, actually, no, that didn't work. Let me try something else. And you can watch it go down the screen and everything that it's doing, but you don't have to talk in a technical term. You just tell it, hey, I want it to do this. And then there was a point, at some point in one of my Microsoft deals, I got a little stuck and it asked me, do you want me to just take over your computer screen? Yeah. So it took over my computer screen, went into Microsoft, did all the stuff it needed to do, and went back. It's so easy to do. You just start by telling it what you want to try and do, and it'll figure out if it can do it or not.
I agree with you. I think that being able to speak to it just like it's a human and have it speak back to you in completely layman terms like you had mentioned, for people that aren't super technical, that was one of the most wonderful things for me. Like, for example, you say, look, I want to build this program. And then it lays you out a step-by-step on how you build the program. And then you can talk to it through each step.
And it'll even tell you like a hard way, a quick way, an easy way, a thorough, like there was a couple different options where it said, if you want to do this, you know, go this route and create this. But if you're looking for this, like I was looking for some password protection for this, for our I did a salesperson checkout and a manager checkout, and it backs into how many cars they're selling, how many phone calls it takes to generate one car deal. So if they want to sell 15 cars, they need to do this many phone calls, a whole bunch of calculations. But I said, oh shoot, I kind of want it password protected. And he goes, okay, you could do this if you want it, if they have to log in with their Microsoft credentials, or if you just want a simple password, you can do this. And that's really all I wanted. Nothing high tech. I just didn't want to, terminate an employee to go in there and start messing around with my deal. But that's what I really like too. And it'll tell you also, hey, if you do it this way, it'll take a couple hours. If you do it this way, it'll take 15 minutes. And I was just blown away. And I went down the rabbit hole, probably spent entirely way too much time over a weekend. It cost myself several hours of sleep. But when it was done, you go, holy smokes, this is pretty cool.
It is absolutely gratifying. I've built, 3 or 4 different programs from scratch with AI. And again, I found some finicky things. Like, I'll give you an example. With one of the programs I was building to help my attorney, it said, this is going to take us 3 months to do, and we did it in 2 days, right? So AI is still a little bit off with its timing for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but it will definitely make you feel like something is going to take a lot longer than it actually does. I don't know. It's kind of like what I describe AI to people. I kind of describe it like Rain Man from that movie with that Dustin Hoffman. Yeah, so it's kind of like an idiot savant, right? It does certain things to a level that are almost unbelievable, and every once in a while it makes you scratch your head and go, what in the hell was it thinking when it said that? But I'm telling you, just from being involved in not only building the product and the company that we're building, but in playing with it every single day, we're very close to a point where you're going to see some pretty wild things start being done with AI.
Have you and I've thought about dipping my toe in the water, building a website for the dealership?
Have I thought about it? Sure. Would I do it? Probably not. I think that you end up in a situation where it'd be interesting to know, based on the WordPress and the feeds and things like that, because we do spend, I think, $1,200 a month for our website, and I think that based on where current time sits, that's a little crazy. I have built websites. I've built 3 or 4 websites. You can build them in about a day. I do think it'd be interesting to figure out whether or not you could do it. The only fear that I have is the inventory piece of it. But it would be something interesting just to play with.
vAuto gives out those APIs. I would think that.
Well, you're talking about the feed to the inventory. My question is, the thing that always kind of made people pause on automotive dealership websites was the inventory, the feeds, the pictures, and the SEO and things like that. But look, I believe it could do it. I mean, it might be something that maybe we should play around with and see. It's just so dangerous for me that I don't have the balls to step out there and mess with it. But I think it's possible that it could be done.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Just to be able to change something on the fly would be handy.
So what are some of the things that you're doing with the AI besides Tacoby and the different the tool that you made?
So Tacoby's a big one, and that's obviously Jason's deal, and I love it. Our manager deal check and post finance pre-cap deal check. That's the one we just got done with, and then recently I just created an electronic deal board, where the managers go in and they put, and everybody's got different, it's a grease board, it's an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. And it went in and created an Airtable, which is really where it lives, but then made it look pretty on the screen. And so they log in and they input their 4-digit passcode, gets them in the electronic deal board, and it's, customer name, all the stuff, customer name, days in stock, day you sold it, and then you'll have to go back in and re-put the day that it funded. And then it'll keep track of average days to fund, front gross, any policy adjustments post-sale. I have that as a manual input now. So if we have a policy adjustment post-sale, they have to go in and input it, not at the end of the month to go, man, why did 15 grand get taken out of the gross line? Well, it was all the stuff you forgot, the bank fee or transport or whatever. So it keeps track of all that, tracks out, all your monthly tracking. And then I did the same thing for the salespeople. So that was the one I just got done. And, that was a lot of fun. That one was way easier than the deal checker one. And then the next thing I'm going to go to is, I think there's some accounting things that you and I have talked about that I think could really streamline that. And I would love to create something for the service department that would help
Yeah.
them look up
Or
parts.
do inspections.
Yep.
I mean, let me get this straight though for a minute, because this is really interesting. I think what you're talking about that you created is basically a sales dashboard. And just so people out there in the world understand what Josh did, sales dashboards right now from different companies range from $300 to $800 a month. And they track everything that Josh just was talking about. And he said with AI, he built that in a day.
Oh yeah, half a day. And then I set it up to email to me every night. So I get, as each person checks out, I get it. I get an alert if they don't fill it out. Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal. So in a day and a half, you built a program that people are charging $500 to $800 a month for. So the moral of the story is this, and I mean this with absolute sincerity. The other issue is that a lot of these SaaS companies that create these kind of
they'll be out of business.
Yeah, these little bullshit things that do very minimal stuff, they're going goodbye.
Yeah.
And two things are going to happen from this. You're going to start to see bigger companies try to lock down information tighter, even your own information, which is going to be bullshit in my opinion. But you're going to see them start locking things down because
then what you'll see, Anthony, is they'll tighten up the information because information is power. And then what you'll see is some open source companies go, okay, I'll create your own DMS and your own CRM. It'll be your information. You want 12 APIs, we'll do whatever. And they'll create a DMS that is tailored to you. Like you may have Reynolds, but you're like, man, I really like this one function in DealerTrack or ADP CDK. Could you do that? Yeah, sure. No problem. We'll take the best of every world, however you want it built, we'll build it. And I want a point of clarification. When you say too, it took me a day to build it, what people don't understand is you go to Claude and you tell it what you want it to do. You got to click allow a couple times on your deal. You test it. No, that didn't work. Like in that day, I also got all of my work done. Like I wasn't sitting at a computer banging around on my keyboard. You're just paying attention to it as it asks for permissions and as you need to tweak things. It's not like you got to take a day out of your life. It's crazy. But I think this information deal is a big deal. And I absolutely agree. These big companies are going to tighten up the information. All that's going to do is make it worse. Because if they tighten up their information, you're going to have more of these little pop-up companies that go, yeah, I'll design your CRM and a DMS for you. It'll take me 3 days and I'll get it done.
One of the things that I want to say real quick, because you're absolutely right, you not only don't have to watch what it's doing, but what Josh just said, where he has to press to give it permissions, I've turned that off on my computer. So I tell it to do something and it basically takes control of my computer and it does everything completely on its own and it never asks me for permission. So once we've outlined exactly what we're doing and we've agreed on how we're doing it, I basically say go and do it. And then I do watch and see what it's saying as it goes. But it pretty much does everything on its own without very much difficulty at all. And so, yes, that was a really good point of clarification because you're not going to be sitting there programming all day.
Yeah.
That may intimidate some of you, but I'm telling you, whatever your mind can conceive, you can create with AI. I mean, and it's only going to get better and better and better and better. Josh and I, over the last year, have been very involved with AI based on just some different things we're doing. And the level improvement that we've seen has been out of this world.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I can't stress enough that all you have to do is, turn on the audio. Just talk to it. If you don't even want to type, talk to it. That's all you have to do. And it will create whatever you want to create. It's that simple. I know there's a lot of people intimidated by it. It's that simple.
I don't even type anymore. I use this other AI program called Whisper, WISPR.
Yeah.
I press two buttons on my keyboard and it allows me to talk and it types out whatever I say. And that's how I communicate with AI, because I will tell you, I do find the typing or the written communication better with AI than the speaking communication. Their models are better at reading text, understanding text than they are listening to it. And so I just find it operates at a higher level when you type. But again, just like Josh said, you can download a program, you never have to type again. I don't even type anymore. I use that program for everything. If I'm sending a message on my phone, if I'm in Facebook, I literally press 2 buttons. Whatever I want to type, it types.
It's impressive. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit Jet in front of it and see what he wants to create and see if he can create whatever his mind comes up with and see what it'll do. I'll do that on video. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things we could do that would be fun for people to watch, but I totally agree with you. So that's basically the end of the show today. Josh and I have a meeting in 5 minutes that we have to get to. Josh, you have anything you want to leave the folks with in closing?
I just think the moral of the story is give it a shot. Don't be intimidated by it. It's super easy to be intimidated, but they have made these programs so easy to use. Just think about, like I'm doing right now, every time I go throughout my day, if this is somewhat of a repetitive task, but it takes time, can I program AI to do this? And you know what? It may take me a couple hours to get it all dialed in. I may have to slow down to speed up. But like this deal checker that we've got now is going to save my girls in the office so much brain damage. It'll probably save me several $100s a month in FedEx labels, FedExing shit back and forth to customers. We'll be able to get deals funded quicker. You know, all sorts of stuff that it cost me a couple $100 in tokens and a little bit of my time, but I got it dialed in. It's just that simple. Just give it a shot. Start with something small if you want, and then start and try, and you will just be blown away with how easy it is.
And even though Josh and I aren't experts, we're always here to help you. If you have any questions, you feel free to reach out.
Yeah, reach out. I mean, we're far from experts, but we've dove in quite a bit, and it is just fun.
And we just like meeting like-minded people. So if you're working on this stuff and you're doing cool things, we want to hear about it. That leads me to the next thing. We'd love to have some guests on the show. So if you'd like to come on and discuss with us different things you're doing at your dealership with AI or different tips and tricks you have for other people out there in the dealership world, we'd love to have you on. You can reach out to myself, Josh, or Megan, and we'd love to have you on the show. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good evening. We love you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.